Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
So here's Steam Park Play Dirty expansion. This is going to add into the Steam Park experience. Now this one is going to be a modular expansion, which means you can add some of it, none of it, a little bit of whatever you like. The rulebook is going to look like a rulebook, but it's going to fold out. It's going to have plenty of pictures. It'll give you the rules, and it has some like boring rules here, and kind of tell you how to explain each one. You don't need to read the whole thing. Maybe pick a module or two, add them in, and just read the rules for that. So here's Stingy Visitors. Here is if you're going to play with the fifth player, etc. And it goes through each one. If you want to play with the park directors, just read that aspect. Do not need to read all of this to get started. And I doubt when you first get this, you're going to want to pop in, all of these at once. Probably one or two, and see how they shake up and they fit your gaming plays or not. I'm going to go through each one, kind of explain to you the components of it and how it works. This is going to be the insert that's in here. I'm probably going to ditch this and just put it in the base game. I don't see any reason to keep an extra box around. I'm going to try to fit everything in the base game if possible. If not, I'll have to keep this around a little bit longer. The first thing you're going to get is enough equipment here to play with a fifth player. Now, the only rule to play with a fifth player is you'll play one less round. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. My family happens to have 5 in it, so this is going to work out well for me, but it gives you everything you need if you did one. Now, you're going to have this number 4 here that will be put there. Mine wasn't printed exactly right. If you can tell, it's off a little bit. I don't know if yours will be like that too, but it gives you 1 dirt, and it's the number 4, and that's the information that you'll have. So these are the gray Stingy Visitors, and what they're going to do is be a wild color. They do not start on the bag, and honestly they can only be added if one of the colors is no longer in the bag, so not very common that they'll be added. They do only pay you 2 per round instead of 3 when you're playing through the game, but they don't gain any dirt, so it's a push and pull, but they can be any color when you're putting them out on a ride. Here we're going to have the ride extensions. They come in 3 sizes and cost 1 worker as normal for each person that they have on them. What's great about these is they are not rides that are created on their own, but they extend other rides. They have to be placed next to another ride. And you can put any color that you want on here, but if it doesn't match the color of the base ride, they go back at the end of the round. If all the visitors are the same color as the ride extension, then they stay there for the rest of the game. Now with the golden extension, what's going to happen is if they're all the same color that are placed on here, you will lose $2 per spot on here. So you'll lose 6 here, 4 here, and 2 here. If the rusty extension, you're going to, kind of the same way, if they're all the same color, when you fill it up, you're going to gain 2 dirt for each space on here. So once again, 6 for here, 4 for here, and 2 for here. And that's how those are going to work out. Once again, they're not new rides. They extend rides you've already built. So here are the park directors. You will randomly choose one of these at the beginning of the game. So it's not player powers. One of these and it will affect all players. So for the sweeper, when you clean dirt, for each 2 you spend, you discard half of your dirt rounded up. A single sweeper has no effect. Then you have the gambler. When you play a bonus card, put it face down under this tile and immediately gain the dollars listed on here. Okay? The barker, when you draw visitors of the wrong color, put them on the barker tile instead of the visitors pool. When you track visitors for each person you spend, you can choose to take one from the barker. Then you have the planner. During the roll phase, you may roll your dice 1 time only, place them on the pig, 1 die at a time, changing the results if you wish. Architect, you can build rides adjacent to stands, rides adjacent to other different rides, and stands adjacent to other different stands. Whenever you're buying an additional grand tile, you receive 2 dirt tokens. So everything can be by each other, but 2 dirt when you add more space. Then last is the tycoon. You start the game with $10. At the end of the roll phase, all players secretly bet any amount of dollar they like. Then they reveal their bets together. The player who bet the highest amount of dollars discards the money they bought and steals a die from the pig board of the player who bet the least. Then the player who bet the least keeps all of their money. Other players have to discard half of their money down, so you'll be gambling each turn. These are the espionage dice. At the beginning of the game, everybody has $4 in one of these dice. These cannot be used for stands or bonus cards, and if you want to use it, you have to pay $4 in order to use this at the end of the round. It also can give you dirt, but it gives you additional actions as you're going through. But you get to pay $1 less for each white die with the same action icon. So if I had a stand, for each white I have, I pay $1 less if it matches it. And that can be a fun way to add more stuff in. What you're going to get here is a bunch of new stands, and these are actually cards for the original stands. In each game, you're going to shuffle these up, and you'll deal yourself 5, And these will be the 5 stands that you'll be utilizing for the game as you're going through. So it's a way to randomize the stands and have different strategies as you're going through. These are the new stands. I'm just going to show you the cards. You know, of course, you'll get the stand like this for each of these, but I'm going to show you what they do. So the fountain, for each fountain stand, you can spend $2 to discard 2 dirt. The Hall of Mirrors allows you to copy another stand. The office, the number of bonus cards you hold in your hands is increased by 1 for each office stand you have, okay? And then when you do your dice, each die is worth, instead of 1, is worth 2. And then you're going to have the shooting gallery. For each shooting gallery stand you have, you can reroll 1 die on your pig board during your action phase. For each reroll, you gain $1. If you roll a blank face, you gain $2 instead. Then you have the incinerator. During the income phase, if you have the most dirt, you gain $2 for each incinerator stand you have in case of a tie. So it changes things up just a tad. So there's a little bit that represents a little bit of each of the items that you have in the game. The stands I like the best. I like adding those in. Why not? It shakes things up and gives you different strategies as you're playing through. I play to the stands a lot. Everybody does because you have to get a couple of those, and I like the addition of that. The wild guys, they're pretty easy to throw in because they don't come out very often. You won't be utilizing these a lot, especially till later in the game when people have already learned how to play. Very easy to run in. I like the 5th player just because I have 5 in my family, so it's very easy to have a 5th player in case we need it. The youngest guy is a little too young for this game, but at some point, maybe I'll have 5 and I'll have the ability to play with that. The rest of this, the espionage dice is pretty nice to come in. It's a little convoluted. The park directors are okay. They change things up a little bit. I like some of these better than others. Like this gambler guy in particular kind of slows things down a little bit as you're constantly gambling. It's all right. The ride extensions are probably the most confusing, come with the most convoluted rules. The rules are placed on them and on the sides, which is nice. But for the most part, that's kind of the order that I would add things in. It stands, no-brainer. 5th player, if you need it, it's there. These guys, they will use sometimes. And the rest of it, you kind of dig in and enjoy as you like it. For me, this is a meh expansion. Really, the 5th player is a selling point here. If you don't need that, I don't really think you need anything else. It's okay. This isn't something I'd write home about or say it's a great expansion. I had really high hopes for this expansion. It did not come through for me. It's all right.